Hi everybody, I'm Georgia Rose. Welcome to my channel. This is the Zenkuda community for guidance on the journey to soul space. So what you're looking at right now is the chart of the new moon in Gemini. And as you can see, if you look over at the 8th house of this chart, where the symbol of Gemini is, right here in this area of the chart, you'll see that not only do we have a lot of planets in Gemini, but as you can see, we've got the sun and the moon, which is why it's a new moon when the sun and moon come together, but you've got Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter all in the sign of Gemini. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means there's an awful lot of Gemini energy around the sky right now. And also, because that Gemini energy is really coming in strongly, all of the planets that go into Gemini in those first degrees all trined Pluto in Aquarius down at the bottom of the chart. So now we have the trines to Pluto during this new moon in Gemini, but we also have a square to Saturn, which happens a few hours after the new moon. So what does all this mean? Well, here's how you should interpret the energy for your personal chart. First, what you want to do is look at your chart and see where the house of Gemini is in your chart, what house that area of your chart is ruled by Gemini. And then once you look at that, you can get an idea of how it's going to influence you and what the new moon is going to bring to you. Now, new moons always bring new beginnings, and it's a great time to set intentions. Gemini is an air sign, and it's also the sign of communication, ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in Gemini right now. So that means that our communication is at an all-time powerful high. The square to Saturn is going to limit that in some ways. But remember, we've got all this other Gemini energy in that area of the chart, and that's all air, communication, it's our minds, it's especially our words and our speech. So when we have a square to Saturn in that part of our chart, you definitely want to think about your words. And as Gemini energy becomes more and more powerful, kicked up by this very potent new moon, you're going to see that Gemini energy will be in play all this month as each planet transits through that sign in the zodiac. So look and see where Gemini is in your chart. So what is Gemini energy? What does it feel like? What does it bring to us? Well, as I said, Gemini energy is communication. It's also the way that we are curious about things. And we all know that any idea that we have or anything that comes from our imagination, we really start that with a spark of curiosity. If it wasn't for our curious minds, we really wouldn't invent new things or become pioneers. So this is an amazing energy to bring something new to your life and tackle something that is futuristic or challenging for you in some way where you have to learn something new. Also, Gemini is opposing the sign of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the opposite sign of Gemini. So Jupiter in Gemini is going to play a huge part in our lives. It'll be there for the next year. I have an online course that I've created about the Jupiter in Gemini energy. And that's going to feel like an awakening for a lot of us. It's going to bring in unconventionality. It's going to bring in something that awakens your truth and your soul and really living in your own destiny. We're coming on a time in the cosmos and just in all of our personal lives where we're being called to really answer those whispers of our soul. We're being called to answer our destiny. And this new moon is going to bring us a little bit of a glimpse of what the energy is going to be like over the next year. It's also got that Aquarian energy with Pluto being there in the first degrees of Aquarius and squaring all these planets in the early degrees of Gemini. That's going to bring in our soul's desire. So this is a really interesting time where it's almost going to be impossible for us to ignore our destiny and ignore our soul's intention of what the true purpose of our lifetime is. It comes up in a very poetic way. It comes up in a very intense way, deeply bringing to us our soul's desire. And that can happen through meetings with people. It can happen through events that occur. But we also have a lot of energy with Neptune in Pisces because that's where Saturn is. So that Neptune in Pisces energy right now is an energy that's going to be confusing. We have all this beautiful energy with all these planets in Gemini, and they come in to give us communication and quick-mindedness, and things will start happening very rapidly. Those future intentions that our soul has for us are going to accelerate the future coming into our world, but Neptune confuses it. And it's going to be very hard for us to figure out what is true and what isn't true. So that's why during this new moon, I would set some intentions that have to do with standing in my own belief system, standing in my own authority, and my own inner compass that can help me determine what is true and what isn't true. Because we're really going to need that discernment in the year to come as we navigate all of this Gemini energy with Jupiter expanding it in our lives. So definitely do grounding techniques, walk barefoot on the lawn, go out in nature. The air signs can make us very much in our head, so we need to bring the energy down. Do a meditation where you breathe through the heart so that you're able to feel things better and to be able to use your intuition for what is truthful, and what isn't. And also develop a gauge for what is your personal truth. That's what will bring you through in this energy as all of these planets take part in that beautiful air, refreshing energy of Gemini. So I hope you will enjoy a beautiful new moon. I'll be back during the week with more videos about the current energy. Don't forget to watch the Soul Space podcast Mondays at 7 o'clock live. And also, remember, I have that online class if you're interested about Jupiter and Gemini. I'll put in the comments information about that class. So thanks so much for watching. You can find me on social media at Zenkuda Soul Space, Zenkuda Official on Instagram, of course this channel, and if you want to book a reading, zenkuda.com. I am Georgia Rose, and I look forward to seeing you in more videos.